Your work amplifying organizations, environmental and social impact, working with various different clients. How did you wind up in the military? How did that happen?
Wait till you find out what I do. Um, so this is interesting. So I have friends that have been in the military and friends that went in right after high school and kind of made it their career paths. So that's always just kind of been in the periphery, people that in my environment. But I would say that it was another friend of mine who is in the Air Force. Actually, two friends. One is a retired lieutenant colonel in the Air Force, a fighter pilot, flew in the Gulf War.
Mhm.
Always talked about his experience, and he was an anchor on the local news station. And so he was very well known in the community. His story was well known in the community, and he was just very inspiring to me and a friend and a mentor. And so he was really kind of my first exposure to someone who talked so highly of the Air Force and everything that the Air Force and opportunities that the Air Force gave him. And so that was always a little seed that was just kind of planted there in my mind. But I knew I also didn't want to do military as a full-time career. I just didn't envision what that could be for me. And no one ever really talked to me about that. It wasn't until I met someone in the Air Force Reserves, a friend of mine, that I was like, I didn't realize that you can essentially serve part-time and still have your civilian career. Because I love what I did. I love my civilian career. I just didn't see how these things fit. And then I found out about the reserves, and that just, when I first found out about it, it just made a lot of sense. I was like, oh my gosh, that makes a lot of sense. I get it. And so it was during lockdown in 2020 that, a lot of people, including myself, had a lot of time to think, being locked up like that, a lot of time to think about life and what was next. And I was thinking about my experience in Sierra Leone. I did Sierra Leone, came back in 2017, jumped right into a master's program in DC, in Georgetown, that took me all over the world. And then my father passed away right before graduation in 2019. And then there was other things going on in my life personally. And I found myself at this place again that I was aware of now, this kind of little voice of like, there should be more that I could be doing, right? Like this, we're locked down. I can't, I just finished this incredible program that took me all over the world with incredible cohort of people, and learned about so many different businesses and met with heads of different businesses in these countries, Brazil, Singapore, UK. It was amazing. And so here we are now, 2020, and I'm thinking, gosh, how can I, there should be more that I can be doing that's going to be a challenge for me, right? Did Sierra Leone, went to grad school 10 years after I finished undergrad. So I was, late to the party, late to the master's degree party. And now here we are. And I'm thinking, I want to, like, what do I do now? These back-to-back experiences. And how can I really position myself even more deeply in leadership and serve? And because that was something I was thinking about, I got a lot of praise for the Renewable Energy Conference from the administration's people in Sierra Leone to the lead of the program in the UK that told me, I'm a shining star. Like, I left Sierra Leone, just camped. And then this master's degree was also challenging. And so now I was like, gosh, what can I do to continue this trajectory I'm on? How can I become a better leader? Because I'm ready to do bigger things.
Okay.
And that's when I seriously started thinking about the reserves. And so in January of 2020, I started talking to a recruiter about this process. Like, let's get into the nitty-gritty of this whole thing and what's really entailing. And as soon as I did that, I felt that feeling again that nervousness, that excitement, that, oh my gosh, am I going to do this? Am I really going to do this? Am I going to go for it? I started feeling that. And the moment I started feeling that, I knew, yep, I guess we're joining the Air Force now. So I enlisted. I didn't go in as an officer because, one, again, it was part of this kind of process. It's a very different track, the officer track.
Yeah, OCS, you have to go through officer candidate schools.
It's a different track. And the recruiter said, well, we don't have any like public affairs, right? Here I am. And this was in 2020. So I've already, at this point, I've had 15 years of communications, marketing experience. And he's like, these are the jobs that are available to you. Like, here's what you do, right? You're going to take your ASVAB and then you're going to pick one of these jobs. So I called up my friend, Ray, who's in the Air Force. He's a tech sergeant or master sergeant now, master sergeant now in the Space Force at the Pentagon. And I was like, I don't know what these jobs are. What are these jobs? So I started looking at YouTube videos and trying to figure out what do I pick here. And so I picked aerospace propulsion. And essentially that's jet engine mechanic.
I know what it is.
Yeah. Well, for the listeners that don't know, it's a very, high, aerospace propulsion kind of a name. And it was for, Homestead Air Force Base, which is a fighter base. And so I became a 16 jet engine mechanic. And I signed up on August 5th. So I'm coming up on my fifth year anniversary.
Wow.
August 5th, 2020. I was one of the first people ever to be sworn in virtually because of the lockdown. I couldn't do it in person. So I was one of just people, very, very few people to be sworn in virtually. And that was very emotional thing. But I went off but mind you, for the Air Force, I'm old.
Yeah, of course.
I'm old. I signed up almost at the cutoff age.
Yeah.
And so I did that. And then I went to boot camp January 12th, 2021 at Lackland Air Force Base. And I was older than my drill sergeant and the oldest woman in my whole group. And but I graduated boot camp with honors. Okay. Because I was determined. I was like, I'll show you old,
Right.
I'm going to come in, I think third in fitness. I went in there being able to do 2 push-ups because push-ups has always been my weakness. I danced ballet for many years. So my lower body strength, let's kick a door down. Ask me to do a push-up and the Lord needs to help me, But I started training to do push-ups before GOLA. Also, that when I got there, I wasn't starting from scratch. I'm very proud to say that I was able to do 44 push-ups in 1 minute at the end of it.
Wow.
And
That's
so
amazing.
yes. And so very proud of that still. And graduated with honors from boot camp and then went off to tech school. And so what really got me there was a couple of things. And it was one, just wanting to, I have this vision of the woman I want to become and the woman I want to be and striving for that and being a leader and learning those leadership skills and continuously challenging myself and making that big, bold moves. Cause it's like, what am I doing I'm going to be away from home for 4 months, boot camp for 2 months. Oh my gosh, what am I doing? And that's one of the best decisions I ever made in my entire life. Once again, the big, bold move rewarded me.
Right.
It's how I met my husband.
Oh, okay.
It's how I met my husband, and which is, led to, to things where they are now. And I love my job.
Is he a reservist or is he full in?
He's a reservist as well.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a reservist as well. So it's again, I took this chance, I took this risk, and it turned out to be one of the best things ever. And I'm going on 5 years. On August 5th, be 5 years in the service as a reservist.
Yeah, you're big on risk taking.
Yes.
You're very big on leadership.
Yes.
I'm going to ask you this question. Do you consider yourself a feminist?
Yes, I do. I feel like the word feminist has just been like, what does that mean? Right.
Exactly.
But in terms of should women have equal rights, and should women be paid the same, and should, all of those things. Yes, yes, and yes. Women are incredible. I gave birth to a human. I'm still not over that. I'm still trying to figure out
How that
how my
happened.
body did what it did, and it just, of course, when you become a mom, you get a whole new appreciation for your current mom. Women are incredible. Women can do so many things. I wish we had more women global leaders. I think women but see, the thing is, we're all needed, right? There's this perception feminism means you hate men and all that stuff, and that could not be, like, in my definition, further from the truth.
Okay.
Feminism to me is about equality and allowing women to do the things that women want to do and are capable of doing, and just getting out of their way, because women have achieved, continue to achieve, will continue to achieve incredible feats. And so, feminism is let women be in their full power and essence because we're all different, and we're all called, like everyone on this planet, we're all called for something, for a greater purpose. And every woman's journey is different. And so I say, let women have the space and the right to be who they want to be. People talk all the time about, don't you want to be a stay-at-home mom? Oh, don't you need 2 incomes? People will fight this debate forever and ever and ever. And I say, if you want to be a stay-at-home mom, and you're financially able to be a stay-at-home mom, and that's what speaks to your heart, then be a stay-at-home mom. And everyone just needs to close their mouths. And if you want to work, and working is what you want to do, and you want to figure that out and run a business or go to school or whatever it is, then go do that. And people need to shut their mouth, because every person, male and female, when everyone is on a different journey. And I say, just let people fulfill their journey and fulfill their potential in this world. And maybe that's oversimplifying the conversation, but it boils down to me in that. When you give women a space to lead, give women a space to breathe, and let women dictate the kind of life that they want to live.
Yeah, you being a feminist, was that like an active mental choice that you made, or was that something that was innately in your being?
I mean, I don't wake up in the morning and say, hi, I'm a feminist. I just wake up in the morning and I want to set out to live the life that I want to live for myself. I mean, I think about all the things that I've accomplished and all the things I want to accomplish. And I want to be able to accomplish those things. And I want to be involved while I do it. And it's just, let me do that. Let me empower women to live the life that they want to live. It really comes down to that. It really just comes down to that for me.
Uh-oh. Did we lose internet?
Are you there? Did I lose you? Hello?
What's going on here? Okay.
I'm still here. If you can hear me. Hello?
Hello?
Email you. I was like, I'm not going to leave. I'm just going to...
Okay. Yeah, something happened with Chrome here on my end, and it kind of, I don't know what it did, but it kind of locked up here on my end. So we're just going to, I'm just waiting for my end to fully upload before I start another recording, and then we'll continue. So, no, actually, it still has us in the recording. It's still going. So, that works out. That's working out fine. So it never ended. Okay, so we can continue. Continue on with what you were saying. If you could pick up where you left off, we'll just splice it.
I think I was just saying that, I really believe in empowering women to live the lives that they genuinely want to live. And all of our journeys look very different, and we all have different callings. And so I just believe that we should have the space and the environment to be able to live that out, whatever that may be for each of us.
Okay. Your time in the military, how has that changed your perspective of being a parent versus this whole risk-taking perspective you have? Because a lot of this about you seems to be constantly pushing the envelope and taking risk and chances that normal people really don't do.
Yeah, I think for example with travel, I think travel's one of the greatest teachers.
Okay.
You learn things about yourself that you can only really learn while traveling. I just truly believe that.
Mm-hmm.
And my husband and I, we love traveling, we love exploring and going to new places. And
Mm-hmm.
there's always risk in everything that we do. Every morning you get into your car, you're taking a big risk, But there are things like travel really expand my understanding of the world and of people, and that's something that I want my son to embrace. My son has, we have not stopped traveling just because we had a child. We travel with our child. Our child has been on, I think there was like that 40 flights before too, and he's been on 40 flights too. A lot of it's domestic, but last summer we took him to Japan, and we had a great time, and he's been to Japan now. He has a passport, and we plan on, of course, how we travel changes when you have a child. You have so much more to account for and so many more things to plan for and prepare for. But we certainly don't let that stop us from traveling. We will travel. I want my son to grow up feeling that same sense of adventure and desire to see the world, and to grow up learning that we're all so much more the same than we are different, and that there's so much beauty to see in the world. And I want my son, people say, you want to give your children the world, and we literally do. We want our son to see the world. And so, yeah. And so we will continue to travel as long as we can travel with him. And we don't let that stop us. And I think that when it comes to taking chances, when I talk about taking risk and taking chances, I'm talking about opportunities that have the potential to bring us an entirely new perspective and way of being in the world, and can teach you something about yourself and expand your knowledge and expand your skill set. And so when I talk about these big, bold moves, all of these things have that in common. They're all things that have the potential to expand your world professionally, personally, enrich you in a new way. So these are positive, very positive, big, bold moves that I encourage people take in their lives. And that can look very different to people. Not everybody wants to travel the world, but maybe you want to see the entire United States. Maybe you want to learn a whole new, thing, and you want to put yourself out there to master something. So that looks different to people. But whatever those callings are and those ideas that present themselves that give you joy and excitement are so worth paying attention to and honoring when you can.
Okay. You're still actively traveling and diving, clearly still embracing adventure. How do you balance the desire for new experiences with increased responsibilities?
Planning.
Okay.
Lots of planning. Yes. Lots of planning and just, realism, right? I haven't been scuba diving since my son was born. And so what does, and I can't wait to get back into the water. But that's not like, we talked about earlier, like how do you prioritize wanting to do all these things? It happens in stages, right?
Right.
I know I'm going to go scuba diving again. I don't know when, that I'm going to plan for it in the near future. And I think that's, you have to look at the realities of your life at the moment with what I'm trying to achieve at work, what I'm trying to, the time and the activities and the experiences that I want to have with our son. Those take precedent right now. And maybe in a month from now or 2 months from now, or maybe during the holiday break, when I'm, work is kind of on pause, then that might be the time to take my little refresher scuba diving course and kind of get back. So it's everything's not happening at the same time all the time. Sometimes it's just about some things do have to be put on hold in my life, while other current projects and things are taking my attention. But I know eventually I'll get back to scuba diving. And so I look forward to that, and that knowing that that's out there in the future is exciting.
Okay.
I need to pay attention to what's currently the goals that are currently on my plate and focus in on those things.
Okay. Now we're going into that part of the show that's called flip mode. So now you get to ask me 3 questions.
Yes. Well, earlier it's going to be 4, I think, because earlier I did ask you a question. And so I do have other questions because.
What question did you ask me earlier?
Well, about being a parent and understanding us. I said, you're a parent, you know what that's like, right?
Correct.
But I don't, that one doesn't count.
Okay.
I have other questions.
Okay.
And I mean, I want to flip it back to you. You talked to me about raising your 2 sons by yourself. How did you manage that with work and life? Because it's not easy.
No, at that time, I was a research and development supervisor, and it was rough. It was rough. I just looked down at these little boys, and I just said, all they have is me. And so, I put a lot of myself into that. And then, I mean, being the research and development supervisor, and you are managing, I mean, a whole entire laboratory with all of these other chemists and scientists and doctors and everything else like that. I was working 12-hour shifts sometimes. And it just got to the point that, when I'd wake Alex up and take him to daycare, he was asleep. And when I picked him up from daycare, he was asleep. And at some point, I just said, I can't do this no more. And I quit. I said, my son, they have to know who their father is. Just made that decision for several years during that very formative period of like from 2 years old till 7 or 8 when they were school age. Didn't work at all. That was just a choice I had to make. Could I have continued doing both? Yeah, I could have, but my relationship with my sons would have suffered.
These are the decisions, right, we make as parents.
It's not always easy. It isn't always easy.
No. So what led you to start this? How long have you been doing this podcast, and what led you to start this podcast?
I started this podcast as an extension of my nonprofit, which is Stand Up and Do Something. It's a social justice nonprofit, but it's a social justice nonprofit for people of all races, skin colors, religious backgrounds, cultures. I wanted something that was kind of in the mold of Black Lives Matter for everybody. And so, I didn't want to diversify between people. And, I wanted to be able to reach out. We do a lot of international work and help a lot of people in foreign countries. And so this podcast actually became an extension of that, talking to people from different cultures, different backgrounds, different experiences. There are different diasporas out here, and bringing them on a show and having a platform for that. I started the podcast in today, 2025. I started in 2023 with 6 audio episodes. And I did, I said audio really isn't my thing. I need to jump to video. So in 2024, I started thinking about video, but audio was so difficult. I said, I can't do this alone. So then I had to hire a team. So currently I have a staff of about 4 or 5 people, believe it or not, that assist me with this show, different aspects of this show. So I did 6 episodes last year, and I only actually had 2 assistants. And so I said, that's not enough. So then I expanded, and we came back. And now this year we're back, and we're even better, and we're making even more changes. So it's been a growing process, but it's been 3 years.
Well, that's awesome. So, I think I've seen podcasts. I actually had a little podcast that I launched during the shutdown as well. I think did pretty good considering. So I do know how it's a lot of work. And so good for you for having people on your team that help you, because it's difficult.
It's difficult. It's a lot of work.
Into going. But I have my last question, because I'm curious about, no one's ever asked me about being a feminist before. I mean, I talk about these types of topics, but no one's ever like just asked me that.
Are you serious?
I'm serious. I talk about women. We talk about women's issues. I've talked about all these. No one's actually just asked that question. So I'm just wondering what inspired you to ask in that exact way. I just thought that was so interesting.
Well, I'm very direct. Number one, I don't believe in beating around the bush. Number two, I mean, everybody has their different concept about different things. So you outwardly, I mean, if someone would just watch you and the things that you've done, the things that you've accomplished, you don't let your gender prevent you from doing the things that you want to do. I was just mentally, I wanted to just know mentally how you mentally saw yourself, how you see yourself in your mind's eye.
So interesting. Yeah, no, that's super interesting. But I appreciate the peg to. It's just never been just phrased like that before. And I don't, it's so sneaky because I don't see myself like, I don't call myself that in the mirror, but I mean, it's fitting if it fits within how I define it. Yeah.
Right. And it's different for everybody. But once again, that wasn't part of the script. That was something that, once again, me just speaking with you and just talking with you. It was just, another area that I said, okay, let's dive into this and see what she says about that. So different people, they have feminist means one thing to one person, one thing to another person, one thing to another person.
Absolutely.
And so,
no, I appreciate the question. I think it's super, super interesting.
What's the biggest chance you're considering taking right now? Or what's
this? Oh, the list is long.
Okay, if the list is long, what's next on the horizon for you, do you think?
Yeah, I have a list of things that, because I said like that inclination, those ideas just keep bubbling up, and I just keep writing them down. I'm like, okay, that sounds good. Okay, that sounds good too. So yeah, there's quite a few things.
Just give us a couple then, off the top of your head.
Okay. So like I said, I've been thinking about what has made me uncomfortable lately when it comes to my business. Like what are things about my business that are making me uncomfortable in terms of like, how do I take my business to the next level? And what are the roadblocks that I've created for myself? And one of those things is video. I'm going to be creating a lot more videos for my business. I don't like creating videos that much, but I recognize, and see, that's not even true. Let me rephrase, because I'm just trying to keep it real. I have a lot of, believe it or not, with creating video content, some limiting self-beliefs that I'm overcoming, which has made me very uncomfortable. But I don't like to sit in that zone for a long time. And so I've been challenging myself to make more video content. So that, again, see, big, bold moves don't need to be these things that look big to other people, but it's not something, right? Like that's big for me. And so that's that. So there's a video project that I'm working on that I'm going to launch very soon. I've come over the hump of those things that I'm excited about. Another big, bold move in a personal life is there's been conversations started around adoption, possibly.
Okay, that's big.
I suppose that's huge. That's huge. That's a big one. But those conversations in my personal life, my husband and I and my family, we're talking about those conversations because it's something that's I've always thought about, and I know other families that have done it, and it just seems so beautiful, et cetera, et cetera. That's a big that's a big one. That's a huge one. It's a huge again, we don't take these things lightly, and it's conversations and planning, and so that's a big one. Yeah, there's others. There's just, I'm telling you, there's actually a list.
Okay, now give us a 30-second spiel of the Betancourt Group.
The Betancourt Group is full service boutique PR company that exists to help elevate the stories of businesses, individuals, and organizations that are having positive environmental and social impact. So if you are doing something good in this world and you think you need more attention and you want to get more attention on what you're trying to do, then we're here to help you get the attention you deserve.
Give us your number and give us your website.
Yes. So there's a few ways to reach us. You can go to groupbetancourt.com and there's a contact form there. We offer 30 minutes free consultations. So please take advantage of that because you'll get a lot of value. I try to give a lot of value whenever I can. 30-minute free consultation is with me, and I'm going to give you quick insights, and let's have a quick conversation about what is possible for your business and your projects or your personal brand. So that's one. Highly recommend you take advantage of that. 2, LinkedIn is great. I'm more and more active on LinkedIn each day. You can just find me, LinkedIn, Angela Betancourt 1, like for the URL. But if you put Angela Betancourt, it's me because I have a scuba diving banner across the top of my page. I think there's a few other Angela Betancourts, but actually you'll find me and I'm wearing a white shirt and a navy blazer in my picture, profile picture. Please reach me there as well. You can also email me at angela@groupbetancourt.com. That's another great way to reach me directly. I do see all emails. If something goes to spam, I check my spam every Fridays in case something slipped through the cracks and went in there for some reason, which has happened. So that's another great way to reach out to me directly if you have general questions about PR, communications, marketing. But I think the free consultation, I really recommend people take advantage of that because I try to provide as much value as possible.
All this information is going to be in the promos and in our show notes. So our listeners will be able to reach you and contact you. Well, this was such a great, interesting show here.
And we didn't even get to talk about your military experience. Next time, you have to have me on again.
Yes, next time. Is there anything else about your Sierra Leone experience or your philosophy on taking chances that you'd like to share with our audience?
Yes. Honor your ideas. Honoring your idea means, at the very least, write it down. Daydream about what it might look like to actually do that thing, right? When it comes across your mind, a random trip you want to take, an adventure you want to have, an experience you want to have by yourself or with your family, honor that experience. And if it requires a big, bold move, then I say really think about it. Really think about taking that. I can't tell you how many times I've put myself in storage because I thought they'll live in Sierra Leone, or the one time I got on a plane to go to Guatemala with my friends. One day noticed the other. The time I went to Bangkok by myself, to Thailand by myself. All of these things have been such a rewarding experience for me. And when you take your general precautions, don't do anything that's got life in danger. Right. But for the most part, the big, bold moves are worth taking. And especially if you're at a time in your life where it's much easier to do that because you don't have as many responsibilities. Well, I will say, one of my friends that I met in Sierra Leone went out there with her young daughter, and her daughter went to school there for the years that she was there. And I mean, I think that's so incredible. I don't know if I would do that with my child. And she did, and it was rewarding for her. Her child is amazing. They're back in Europe now. So I have seen time and time again people take big, bold moves with their families, with their children, by themselves. Consider it and honor those ideas. At the very least, honor the ideas, because big, bold moves are worth it.
Okay. Angela, this has been fascinating. Your journey from Sierra Leone to building your own company while serving in the Air Force and raising a family. It's a master class in living boldly. For our listeners, I want you to sit with what Angela shared today. Think about that chance you've been considering, that leap you've been afraid to take. As Angela showed us, sometimes the most transformative experiences come from saying yes when everything else tells you to play it safe. You can learn more about Angela's work at Betancourt Group and follow her continued adventures. All of her contact information will be in the show notes and promos. I have a feeling that this isn't the last big chance she'll be taking. If today's conversation resonated with you, please subscribe to the All About Us podcast wherever you get your podcasts and leave us a review. It helps other people find these stories that remind us of what it means to be fully human. I'm Carl Allen. This has been the All About Us podcast. Until next time, remember, we're all just figuring it out as we go. And sometimes the best way forward is to take that chance and see where it leads. Thanks for listening.